And Ben, for the 88th time, we have to find a balance where you have provided an incentive for people to save and invest, and you have provided an incentive for people to be able to put money back into the economy and to be able to live. And it's not, and taxes is not stealing from you. So you're right, I run a business. So in order for people, my employees, to get to my company, you know what they have to do? They have to drive on roads. Okay, so it's not stealing from me to build that road. That helps my business. They had to go to school. The fact that they went to public schools allows them to work for me. All these things are things that I benefit from.
Cenk makes a good point. Taxes should be spent in a way that benefits everyone, and for the most part they are. Of course there is waste that needs to be looked into, but pretending that taxes are theft is incredibly dumb.
And Ben and I disagree on this too, because we just talked about it a second ago. And this is just political prognostication, but I think that the Republicans will definitely pass tax reform. And the reason I say that is because the Republican Party at this point is completely dependent on their donors. And by the way, don't get me wrong, the Democratic Party is also largely dependent on their donors. I think the Republicans are a tiny bit more corrupt. But so I think that their donors are going to demand those tax cuts. And if I am right, and we'll all see this, you know, because it's something that's going to happen later, not something that has happened, they will do everything. They will move mountains to make sure that those rich donors and corporations will get their tax cuts.
Okay, so this is an interesting case where I say to Cenk's prognostication from his mouth to God's ears, and he says about mine from my mouth to God's ears, because I don't think they're going to pass anything.
Ben was wrong and Cenk was right. They did pass massive tax cuts for rich donors and corporations.
Republicans pass tax cuts because they're beholden to their donors. Okay, and Democrats pass tax increases because the unions give them hundreds of millions of dollars every year.
Unions give money to Democrats because Democrats support unions. It's really not that hard to understand. Anyone who actually researches the subject and isn't a business owner should love unions. Boeing is a prime example of why unions are important. Their loss in quality and recent mishaps are tied directly to Boeing leaving Washington state and moving to non-union states where workers make less money and care less about the quality and safety standards. Unions ensure workers are paid well, and in turn you get high quality work.
Okay, TYT, we both have corporations and we expound upon politics every single day. And we motivate thousands of people, right, every day on both sides of the aisle. That is effectively an in-kind contribution. Now, you campaigned with Bernie Sanders. Did you do it because you expected? That's fine. Did you do that because you supported Bernie Sanders, or did you do that because you expected some gimme for TYT in return? I assume you did it because you supported Bernie Sanders, right?
Yes.
So, okay. So, the point that I am making is to attribute to everyone else bad intent when it comes to political spending in politics, but to yourself, it's totally fine. And when it comes to other media entities that give in-kind contributions on a regular basis through their coverage, this is when the New York Times, which is biased to the left, spends an inordinate amount of time and money reporting on Mitt Romney's idiotic stories about how he was in high school and cutting a gay kid's hair in 1932. If you're saying to me that that is less impactful on the political sphere than a corporation, which is a group giving money to a political candidate for purposes of supporting that candidate, I fail to see how you can say for yourself that you are innocent in this, but everyone else is guilty. I don't believe that. Either everyone's guilty or everybody is innocent, or if you can find the actual cases of guilt where there's a quid pro quo, then we agree. That's prosecutable.
No, Ben, everyone is not guilty or innocent. Each case is different. He is saying that news coverage is the same as an oil lobby paying a politician money through a super PAC or speaking event, when it's clearly not. One is actual free speech and one is money claiming to be free speech.
Okay, I hate mixed economies in the sense that I don't believe that capitalism and socialism should be mixed.
That is an incredibly stupid thing to say. Every economy is mixed. They all have aspects of capitalism and some aspects of socialism. It's not black or white. Ben really thinks that society would function in a completely capitalist society? Can you imagine having a fire in your apartment complex, but the fire department needs to be paid to put it out because they are driven by a corporation and not the government? I hope you can at least pay them after they put out the fire, Ben. What an idiotic position to hold.
If they thought they were going to lose money off of it, they would have a fiduciary responsibility not to do it.
I agree.
Okay, they were not forced to make billions of dollars. They were not forced to then have us bail them out.
Right.
They did all of that because there's legalized bribery in America.
Right, because the government was giving them money.
So,
correct.
Ben just admitted that companies have a responsibility not to lose money. How can you say with a straight face that companies should control our children's education and sick people's healthcare while having a responsibility to profit and not lose money? These people are disgusting.
You say, well, what's the difference between your speech and their speech? Mine is actually speech, and theirs is money. So there's a giant difference.
But you spend money on your speech.
Ben claims that everyone spends money on speech, therefore money equals speech, and it's okay to pay politicians money. Basically, he's saying that me going door to door trying to convince people to vote for my preferred candidate is the same as the oil lobby giving over $25 million to Republican politicians just in 2024 alone. The dude is just out of touch with reality.
Money is not speech. So, for example, to give you a sense of it, to compare me saying I like Bernie Sanders and you saying whoever you like is the equivalent of this is obviously nonsensical. I believe it's obvious. So in a recent five-year period, the top 200 corporate givers, they both in donations and in lobbying spent $5.8 billion, okay? So that is not the same thing as me saying, hey, I like what Bernie's saying about college and Medicare. And when they did, why do you think they did? It was not because, hey, they genuinely like Bernie or Trump or Hillary. Because in return for that $5.8 billion, they got $4.4 trillion in government subsidies.
It is a fact that lobbyists obtain favorable legislation, access to policymakers, influence over regulatory decisions, financial support for political campaigns, expertise in specific areas, coalition building opportunities, and long-term relationships with government officials in exchange for their efforts.
So a lot of times conservatives say, oh, you guys like big government. That's not true. So let me explain. If I ask you, hey, you got a plumbing job, what would you like, big pipes or small pipes? I don't know. What's the job we have? It depends. It's the same thing with the government. Okay, what size government would you like? I don't know. What's the job we have? So to say big government or small government doesn't make any sense. So, for example, do I want a big government that invades Iraq? Hell no, I don't. No way. And Ben, you were vociferously for the Iraq war, so in that sense, you loved big government. Couldn't get enough of it. And I could go on and on and on. Republicans say, no, we don't like big government, but we'd like to be inside your uterus. So just admit it. It's no problem. Just say it. Say I love big government. It's okay. So you're talking about when you like when you're rich and you want tax cuts. Oh no, I don't want big government. I want small government. But when it's convenient for you and you'd like oil subsidies and you'd like wars and you'd like to meddle in people's private lives, then you love big government.
This was pretty much the point for me in the debate where Cenk clearly won. Republicans love to say they are for small government and Democrats are for bigger government, but it's just not true at all. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe to help my channel grow. Thank you.